Hello YouTube. Strange entry to a video, I know. I'm at the boat, real-time update, and I wanted to do it from the boat. That's not why there's been one for a while. And the other reason there's not been one for a while is because although it's now, if you watch the last episode, it seems like I'm months behind. Not really, I've just been occupied, working. So there's not many episodes to come out between the last episode and now. And I've got a new SSD drive for the laptop, and I've been using a different video editor, and I'm just getting my head around it a bit too. And because I've been working, it's I haven't had the time. So that's the truth of the matter. What have I been doing? You know, I won't go into great detail in this. It will just be a quick update. And I think half the reason I wanted to do it was because I'm aware that some people are going to watch some of the upcoming videos and think he's not going to be on a boat again, because it looks that way for a bit. However, as you can see, that's a mainsail behind me. It's a hatch, and I am on my boat. However, it is temporary, but, and this is what everybody's been waiting for. I've been waiting for months. I could be filming this update from one of two boats, which in itself is a little bit of a problem, having two boats. You can't afford to have one boat. However, it will all be coming up in an upcoming episode. But I tend to find that it's only the people who watch most of the episodes that watch these updates anyway. So it's signed. It's signed. And all of the problems that exist on this boat soon shouldn't be my problem anymore. And there is a working sailboat just down the Calanque, which I now own, with a nice Genoa on it, an engine in really good condition. I'm not sure what the mainsail's like, but I'm going to take mine because it's only a year old, and it's signed. It's not all been straightforward. My plan was to come here, sign it, take all of my stuff off the boat and put it on that. Typical, innit? The one day I come to the boat, a ginormous mistral is blowing straight through the port. But yeah, typical, innit? The one day I come to the port, yeah, there's a mistral. That's not what I was meant to say then. It's not all been straightforward. I was planning, and I did say as well, I was going to come today and once signed, put all of the stuff on the boat. And that's, you know, the other part of this. I'd say I'm 75% there to putting myself in a much better position than I was in when I arrived at this port back in October. The catch is, I might not be able to leave this port until October, but the 75% I'm there is, when I do leave, financially we'll be in a good place. We'll have a working boat. What else will we have? And the other part of it is, I think, to be honest, this is the best way I can put it. If somebody gave me 7,000 now, and you're going to see in some of the upcoming episodes where I'm looking for boats in the situation I was in, I'd done a month's work, had a month's wage, and, you know, if you've watched the episodes, you're probably fully aware, 1,600 euros, and I had stuff to pay because I'd got behind with loads of stuff. It wasn't going to fix the situation. So, and yeah, that's what I was going to say. If somebody gave me, if 7,000 euros, and the reason I'm saying 7,000 euros is because at the end of September, that's what I should have in my pocket or in the bank. But if 7,000 euros was to drop from the sky right now, would it fix? Could I sail out of here and everything be as I'd hoped it would have been on the first, for the first 16 months of this? Probably not. And I think a lot of that comes down to routine, etc. Yeah, sure, 7 grand, I could buy a boat that was, you know, ready for 7,000. I've seen ready boats for 4,000. I've seen bigger boats for 5,000. But, you know, there's a lot more to it than that. And actually, let's just get to the point, shall I? And yeah, I won't go into great detail about it because it's coming up in an upcoming episode. But I've got, well, actually, by now, actually, it's not actually 6 months. It's about 5 months, 1 week. But I've got a job, and the reason I'm filming this, and I was going to go film it from the new boat, but the reason I wanted to film it from a boat is because obviously I didn't want people to think I've just given up with that. The reason for doing it is to be able to carry on. Initially, when I accepted to do the work, I didn't think this other boat was going to happen, and I needed to find a way to get some money to buy another one or to fix this one. But it probably would have been to buy another one because, you know, we could pump thousands into this, and I already have put thousands into it. Maybe not always in the right places, but that's what I'm going back to. If there's 7,000 now fell from the sky, it doesn't necessarily mean that would fix everything. What needs to happen is a bit of stability for a bit, for me to be able to do the things I need to do outside of the boat for a bit. And yeah, a job opportunity came up, and it was for good money, to the point I should be able to save upwards of a grand a month. It's more money than I was on before, so it's actually more money than I've ever been on in my life. And it's for, by the time, well, where we're up to now, it's 5 months. So what is 5 months if it means afterwards we can go again, but we can go again knowing what to do? I could easily, if the 7,000 had fallen from the sky, put the camera on and say I've learnt from the first year, and I have learnt a lot from the first year. But that 5 months, and the reason I didn't want to do it before was it needed to be something that I had enough interest in doing. And you've probably heard me mention a lot on here about a place called the Ardèche. Have I mentioned it a lot? I definitely mentioned it recently. And, you know, it's probably been the place I spent the longest amount of time in my adult life, including England, because when I was I can't remember if I was 19 or 20 when I first came to France, and I spent a good 5 years there, and I think that place was a big influence on who I am. I know that sounds out there, but I genuinely think it was. You know, before going there, I was all like discotheque, did a bit of DJing before that, and you know, it was out there in nature, and I was there up until COVID happened, and then I weren't going to be there the year after, and various other things happened, and I just liked the place, and it's out there. I'm going to be able to live really comfortably for 5 months while saving. It all just makes a lot of sense, because the 7,000 euros that I'll be able to save, or if it fell from the sky, it can't and it won't. How can I say this? I'm trying to make a positive video, so bear with me. It won't. A lot of the things that happened over the last 16 months comes down to me. This boat that I'm stood on now has deteriorated because I was deteriorating, and I need to find a way to put myself back to probably not who I was, but how I was. We're going back maybe 2 years now, because that's the person who's going to be able to sail out of here, and that's the person who I remember the vision of when I first got this boat, and a lot's happened since I first got it, and I had it for quite a while before ever recording anything for YouTube. And the vision, don't know why I'm saying vision, the vision I had though was, you know, and it was me for quite a bit, for a good year. It was me. I didn't envision. I'm full of the vision words today. Envision myself, you know, sat at the chart table with the various different navigation. Remember getting all of these books and envision myself sat there and learning and, you know, being good at it. And I never wanted to come across as how it ended up being, where there's me not faffing around but struggling for 16 months on a boat. I put it on there because it was the reality, and I sometimes, to be honest, think, shall I delete it all and just start again? But it was the reality, and if I can show, and I will show some bits from when I'm at work, because I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do like a boat license sort of thing while I've got some spare time and stuff, and money's coming in, to enable me to do all the things I wanted to do this year. But if we've got to take a step back for 6 months, and afterwards we can do everything a lot better than I was doing, then that is the plan. Because I could quite easily, now that this boat is signed over, not this one, the other one, I could quite easily now, and it's tempting being back here. I'm at the water now, sun's out, at the water now, at the boat now, on the water. You know, I slept like a baby last night. There is a big rat problem, but yeah, I need to solve that. But you know, today I'm back and there's a working sailboat, and you know, realistically a week from now I could sail out of here, head back, do the boat trips and everything else, and it is tempting. But I could do it now with, well, actually I ain't got that much, but let's say I did it at the end of the month with a full month's wage in the bank. We can live off fairly little, we've done it before, and go from there. But you know, while I've been up there, because I've come down from up where I'm working in the Ardèche to come sign this boat over, and the plan was to move the stuff onto the boat, but as always, don't really go the way I planned it, so I can't do that. So there's still stuff to work out. That's why I'm only 75% of the way of working everything out. But you know, 75% is a lot better than going back to September when I was in here, when I made that Wilson fender, and it was the end. And honestly, I was thinking, you know, how long have I got before I have to abandon the boat and go back to the UK? And somehow, by going to the probably the last place, maybe other than England, that I wanted to go, like, an opportunity arose. Like, who'd have thought it took going back to there for all of this to happen? But while being up there, I've been there a week actually, you know, whilst being there, I got back into doing some exercises. This is going to allow me, with like work health insurance, etc., to get my knee looked at, because it's not been right ever since. And yeah, I've been exercising, comfortable, I've been eating well, and the truth is, this, every other small sailing channel, you know, generally goes and works for the winter and then spends that money sailing. I did, you know, 16 months consecutive before, 14, 15 months consecutively before having to go do that work. But at the point I took that first piece of work, if that hadn't come up, I don't know what I'd have done, as I've said in the videos. And now, yeah, going off track. I thought I was doing well on this video, because that's another thing. Like, I kind of lost confidence in picking the GoPro up. This is actually my phone because I can upload it quicker, but picking the GoPro up and doing it, and that started to come back over the last week. There is still some cool stuff I can film from up there that might not be for everyone, but to the point, I've had some updates to put on. I've got an update about now the channel's monetized and what I'm going to do with that. But yeah, that had kind of gone, and we sat here for, you know, a good few months not knowing what I was going to do, and at least now there's a plan in place. And yeah, what is 5 months if it's going to allow me to go do what I wanted to do afterwards? I'm sure there's things I was meant to say more than that, but there'll be more detail on all of it in the upcoming episodes. The next one that's coming out is, I'm still in Port Grimode doing that work, and then from there I do go back to the boat after letting YouTube decide whether I should continue doing the work or not. However, I got back here, and that's when I then found out that I didn't know the free boat was happening, and it seemed like it weren't going to happen anytime soon. So I did go back to work, and then it was while doing that work that this 5 months have been offered. And when you're looking at it like 5 months, I've just done 3 and a bit months accidentally, and you know, I got through that and I didn't want to go. So, and this, when it was offered, I knew almost straight away. I told the guy I'd think about it, but 10 minutes later I was like, you can't turn that down. It's more money than I've ever been on before. And the other thing I'll mention quickly is the way it works in France. The social security and stuff you pay, it's really high. However, I think mainly for seasonal workers, and I think a lot of the reason they do it is A, to protect everyone, but B, people are required to do seasonal work and stuff, and if you've gone and worked 6 months and you pay these really high, literally like a quarter of your wage, if not a bit more, comes out. So I think I'm on 2,500 a month, and by the time everything comes off, it's probably coming out with like 1,800. I put it in the calculator. Still a decent amount of money, but if you work for 6 months over the course of 2 years on a French contract, when you finish and you're looking for your next bit of work, you get still a decent amount. So it's because I've done 3 months and it's the same employer, and I've signed a contract extension because, you know, I thought the free boat weren't happening and I needed to save enough money to buy a new one. If I was to now quit, I kind of cancel out being able to get that money from the 3 previous months, because if you quit, you don't get it. However, if you see out the contract, I am then in a position where I would still get some money coming in for 8 months by then, because that's how long I would have worked. And not only that, but the plan obviously was to spend a summer trying to do boat trips quite seriously, because I think if I was to do it seriously, it would probably make some all right money while still allowing me to be sailing and on the boat. There's also the option, if you're looking to start a business, they'll A, help you, and B, that money, they'll, instead of giving you some every month, there's the option to have some of it as a lump sum, but like I think it's like 50% of it, and then you can put that into whatever you're trying to start up. But finally, because this wasn't meant to be 20 minutes long, was meant to be 5. Having that time there on with the internet, electricity, because I've normally got internet anyway, with the electricity, the things I was trying to do during the winter and trying to set up ways to be able to make money remotely, I'll have the time to do it. I'm actually now, and part of the reason I had to come back to the boat too was because I forgot my Illustrator pad, but doing another YouTube logo for somebody, and last month I had one, but by being able to put a bit more time, effort, money into it, we might be able to set up, I think what the world likes to call them now is revenue streams, where going forward then I do have some ways of making money while being on the boat, and them things aren't going to happen if I just take 1 month's wage and run, because the other boat needs to come out of the water anyway, and that's, you know, that's that money gone. And 16 months of living off very little, I don't want it to end up being a point where I just resent living on a boat. I want to enjoy living on a boat, and it's going to take 5 months in a nice place where there's going to be some really cool stuff to film anyway. And again, I know it's not going to be for everyone, but I am on a boat now. I have just today signed for another boat. I get that causes me a few additional problems, but on the whole, I think everything's going to be okay. And on that positive note, I'll see you next time.